Hello and welcome back to my craft room. This is not going to be a super long video today because I am very busy getting ready to go away for the weekend to the bazaar event, which regular viewers will know how much I've been looking forward to. I'm a bit overexcited. It's not going to be super long, but I've been doing a lot of work on my Millefiori project, and I just wanted to show you how I'm getting on and show you some of the other bits and pieces that I've pulled together to use in this project. So we're going to have a look at that in a minute. I'm really enjoying it. This is going to be a new favourite project for sure. I've been so excited as well to see 2 or 3 other people have shared what they've been already working on, inspired by this project. So I'm going to show you a quick peek at those in a minute. So they've been sharing them in the Facebook group and the Discord community. And I just love when different people take the same idea and come up with completely different takes on it. It just makes me very happy. Now, one thing I want to address right at the start before I forget is a comment that was left on the last video where somebody said, did I really have to use plastic? Now, what she's talking about is these 3D printed rings that my son printed off for me. Several people have got in touch with me and said, if he does make some of those to sell, let me know because I'd like some. I'm still working on it. He said he will do it, but he ain't got around to it yet. Hopefully he will. And I've been really enjoying using them. Now, the lady that left a comment, I can completely take your point, and I'm really glad you made a comment because it gives me a chance to address this. Looking after the planet is hugely important to me as well. So very much take your point. Regular viewers will know how much recycled material I use in my artwork. I'm very much waste not, want not. I recycle where I can. I will buy from companies that are as eco-friendly as possible. I am definitely very anti single-use plastic. I think these are different because they're not just being used and thrown away. They're going to become part of this project that I'm creating, which I hope will last for years, and I hope I will pass on. So it's not plastic that's going to be discarded. Obviously there is an environmental impact in the production of it, but I was talking to Tom about the type of plastic that he uses, and I just wanted to let you know about that in case anybody is interested, because not all plastic is the same. I am in a minute just going to show you some alternatives that I've come up with that you might want to use, you might want to try. I just wanted to talk about this because it is an important concern, and I welcome the question. I'm not taking umbrage at the question being asked. It's the kind of question I would ask myself. So the type of plastic that Tom uses in his 3D printer is called PLA. That stands for polylactic acid. I'm going to link to a website where they've got it's a website of a company that produces pet feeding products, 3D printed with the same plastic that Tom uses for these. And in this brief it's just a little 1-page thing, they explain all about it and why it's an relatively eco-friendly alternative. It's made from plants like sugarcane is one of them. I can't remember the others. Tapioca root, I think, was another. Obviously it's processed, and obviously that has an environmental impact, but it has a lot less environmental impact than other plastics. It's also biodegradable. Now, you can't throw it in your compost, let's be real, you can't throw it in your compost. It is industrially compostable. It will biodegrade under certain conditions, and if just left in landfill it would eventually biodegrade an awful lot quicker than normal plastics. I don't intend for this to end up in landfill though. This is something I'm going to keep and treasure and spend a lot of time making, and it's worth bearing in mind as well that 3D printing is much less wasteful than other plastic manufacturing processes. In the normal processes there's moulding and there's bits that are cut off and thrown away and things. That doesn't happen because of the way there's several different ways of 3D printing, but they're all relatively economical. There's not a lot of waste. There will sometimes be waste at the start and end, and there will be little breakaway pieces sometimes, or sometimes projects just go wrong. What Tom does is he keeps it all because it can be recycled into new filament. Again, I'm not trying to put a spin on this. Recycling anything is has an environmental impact. The saying, reduce, reuse, recycle, is one that I keep in mind. So reduce the use. Don't use it at all if you don't have to. In this case, I can't find anything else that is quite as good as these for what I'm doing. Although, as I say, I'm going to introduce some alternatives in a minute. They just won't work quite the same, but they're definitely, you know, you can make them work. And I reuse where I can. Again, this is where some of the alternatives are coming in. And recycle. Do it in that order. You know, that is definitely a mantra for me. I think there's a lot of unnecessary plastic waste. One of my huge bugbears is bottled water. When did we all start having to drink water out of bottles? You know, most of us in the developed world that we're lucky enough to live in, our tap water is fine. It might not always taste the nicest, but really, do we need to? When I was a kid, you'd never heard of bottled water, and if you did, it was glass bottles in a restaurant or something. You know, it wasn't something everybody did all the time. Everybody must have bottled water. So yeah, I'm you know, it is something very dear to my heart. I hate companies that use too much unnecessary packaging. You know, this is not that situation, you know. What Tom said was the process of making this particular type of plastic has about the same environmental impact as making jam, i.e. it's derived from sugars taken from a plant and transformed with heat into something else. I would say not all plastic is bad. You know, I wouldn't be talking to you now using all the equipment I'm using. We wouldn't have the internet. We wouldn't have it without plastics. I wouldn't be able to see you because of my glasses. It's not always a bad thing. I do agree. I very much appreciate that it needs to be used wisely. I think this is a legitimate use. Tom's just printed for me what I want. There was no waste involved. None of this is going to get chucked away. And I think, given that I live my life in a very sustainable way, I don't have a car, I never go on aeroplanes, I don't like to buy stuff that is air freighted if I can avoid it. I buy my vegetables loose. I don't use yeah. I suppose I'm feeling like I'm getting a little bit defensive. I don't want to come across that way. I just wanted to say that, you know, yes, I am very aware. I appreciate the comment. I appreciate the chance to address it. But I'm going to carry on using these plastic rings, these 3D printed rings. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on about that now. I just felt it was something that's important to say. And now let's have a look at what I've been doing. So here's where I've got to so far, and I've tried a few different things. These were the pieces that came out of the bazaar scrap packs. If you watched the previous video, you'll know that I'm mostly using silks from the bazaar scrap packs. A whole lot of these, some quite tiny scraps, some bigger ones. We've also got some leery ones from the bougie scrap packs. So all of these things, both the bazaar ones and these are the Megan Crook ones, are textile industry waste, basically scraps that are waste from the garment manufacturing process and would otherwise go into landfill. And in the bazaar scrap packs you get other little bits and pieces like these as well. So there's some of those in there, and I've done a bit of a mixture here. I can't remember which ones I showed you before. That's just a Suffolk puff made around one of those rings. Most of these are done around the rings, and one of the things I like is that it enables me to pull the Suffolk puff up to make a nice regular circle shape, which is what I want for this, but so that it's open in the middle. So normally when you would pull the Suffolk puff up completely and you'd get, like that, it just forms like a tiny embroidery hoop really that you leave in. So it made it really easy to embroider on. I've stopped worrying about the backs because I've decided you're definitely only going to see these from one side. It also made it a lot easier to do the shisha work. And it worked to make kind of a version of a Dorset button, not Yorkshire button. It's not a traditional Dorset button made around this, but it certainly works. So I used the same method. I think I showed you that one. This was an experiment I did the other night. I'm not completely happy with it, but I still like the idea, so I'm going to experiment some more. Bearing in mind that I was inspired by Millefiori beads, I was trying to get some kind of transparency and shine and stuff in them. So what I was doing here was I made a tiny Suffolk puff and then enclosed it within a bigger Suffolk puff and just added some embroidery. And I'm not quite happy with that, but it might be that it would work if I layer it up with another one. You know, I might like it better then. And this one, I took one of the plastic rings, didn't do a Suffolk puff, I just literally cut the circle a bit bigger and just gathered it round and then left it open like that. And I thought I'd put one of these sequins that I got from a bazaar scrap pack inside and then do some more embroidery around it. This one needs more embroidery. I feel like this one wants some yellow, and this yellow one wants some pink. This wants a lot more. It just looks empty. With this one I was experimenting with leaving the sort of frayed edges. I just like the look of the frayedness, but it definitely just needs lots more stitching, this one, I think. Some of these I will layer up, so I might end up putting that one over there even. And I want them to be sort of different heights and things. Once I decide what backing fabric they're going to go on to, I will do some by just cutting circles of fabric and layering them up, different sizes of circles, layering them together, stitching them onto the backing fabric and stitching directly into that. So I won't be making them all around these rings, but I think a fair amount of them will. Now, talking about the rings again, I've got some alternatives to suggest, a few different ones. So I've got these bottle caps. Now I happen to have these ones, these unused bottle caps, because I have them in my craft room. I make embellishments with them. But you could use, definitely, my husband drinks loads of beer and we save the beer caps, but we've not actually found anything to do with them yet. So I think they would be a nice base for these if I made Suffolk puffs and gathered them over them. Obviously you're not then going to be able to, because they're not open in the middle, you can't then embroider into them quite so easily, so you would have to do the embroidery before you did the gathering if you wanted to embroider. Another idea I want to try is I've got some of these ponytail O's. This one that's seen better days and kind of stopped being so elasticy, you could definitely use ones like that. And that I would just stitch directly onto the fabric, possibly cover with a circle of another fabric and then stitch over it so you can see the shape, and yeah, just generally have an experiment, possibly even cut out a hole in the backing fabric so you can peek through. You'll know if you're a regular viewer that I've done a couple of projects using these things, because I go to these night lights quite a lot, and I feel really guilty about these things. So yeah, I have made a couple of projects using them. I've got another one or two in the pipeline, but I did think maybe it would be worth experimenting with these, making a larger size Suffolk puff and gathering it into the middle, and then possibly putting a bead or something in the middle. Maybe one of these all came from the scrap packs again. The bead could even be covered with another fabric. So in this one I've taken out the wick thing, because you can just pull that out really easily at the bottom, and this is so thin I could just take something like this, make a hole in it, gather my Suffolk puff into it, and then just stitch, just take thread around the outside down through the hole, around the outside down through the hole, around the outside down through the hole, so that you end up getting almost like this kind of effect really. And maybe weave. So I think when I come back and show you how to do, because I'm going to do this next time, or one a bit like it, different colours and design, and maybe I'll try it with this as well and just see what I can do with that. I also think if I could then in the same way include the bead, still have the hole as well, trap the bead in there by running the thread through it. Is that kind of making sense? So I think that would be, and it would give a different layer to this as well. So I don't want it all flat and all one layer, although I do think having it all flat and all one layer could look absolutely amazing as well. Another idea somebody left in the comments was to use the rings off of plastic bottles. Now I struggle to find plastic bottles because I usually refuse to buy them. See, it says I'm attached to Recycle Together now, I think. So this is from my tonic bottles where I have my gin and tonics. They come with these now, and what they really want you to do is leave these all attached. So I've been a bit naughty there really, but I didn't have any other bottles that I could take it from. I think it's something to do with the recycling process. They want the bottles with the caps on. I think they float then or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I just took that off to be able to show you, because I think likewise you could make a hole in the cap or just leave it, you know, leave it like that and just make the Suffolk puff around it. It would give it that little bit of extra height so that they're not all the same height. And this you could use in the same way as I've used these, just as in effect a tiny embroidery hoop really. I've also got, I had a look on Amazon to see what else there was. There's nothing else quite like a set like this that Tom printed off for me, with the range of sizes, the fact that you can, one of the things I'm finding useful, you can split off just one, so you just split it off like that to get a thin one, or you can split off two if you want a thicker one, a sturdier one, or one with a bit more dimension to it. So that's really strong. So yeah, and we did two different kind of widths as well, so I've got narrower ones there. I want to try one of the Dorset buttons on that as well. I did find some bamboo rings. Obviously bamboo is one of the more sustainable woods because it's very fast growing. There were some sort of slightly smaller ones, and of course there are things like washers, metal and plastic washers, metal and plastic curtain rings like these. So I've got these for making Dorset buttons with. So again, when I come back next time, my plan is for the next video I will do some of these, so I'll try the different ones. And I got these in various different sizes, so yeah, you could definitely get those. It's getting this range of sizes, which is quite tricky. Another easy suggestion would be just to cut cardboard circles if it's not something you're going to want to wash, which I don't think a project like this is going to be something we'll be likely to be washing. Then you could definitely try cut. And if you've got, like one lady commented, she's got die cutting machine and stuff, as I have, you could actually cut rings, but I think you'd have to stack at least 4 layers of card together to get them sturdy enough, and they still wouldn't be quite as sturdy as this, but I reckon you could definitely make that work. It would be worth a go. I've rummaged out some other bits I've had stashed away for ages. These cheapy sequins from, I think it's from Works or somewhere. I thought it's perfect for Millefiori because a lot of them have those flower shapes in, so definitely it's a good chance to use those. I've got other kind of sequin type things as well, again things that I've had for a long time. Picked up those pinks and greens, and so I just wobbled the camera with my head. And then there's this mix pack. There's these round ring shaped sequins. They came in the bazaar packs, so did these little dinkies. Definitely a good way to use them. So things like this could either they could be added to, like you go in there, or you know, or they could just go in on their own and fill little spaces, as could these. I had some of these, I don't know where these came from, but those would fill in little tiny spaces as well, or could be added to pieces. I found this flat wooden bead. I thought you could just cover that with fabric and stitch into it. I love these beads. I can't remember where these came from. I think they came in a parcel of loveliness that someone sent me. I thought that is just so perfect for Millefiori. Vintage buttons. I love these, but as it's such a beautiful set, I think I might keep them for a garment. I just think how Millefiori they are. Some of these other buttons that I've got could either become the centre point of one of these rings with embroidery all around them, or just go in on their own. It might be a nice way to introduce some gold, because I did want to bring some gold in and I couldn't find any gold fabric, but gold sequins are working. I've got shisha mirrors here again. These were in the bazaar scrap packs. I don't think these were, but I can't remember where these came from. These huge ones. Be a good opportunity to use them, won't it? Of course the mirror, not all of the mirror will show. It'll probably come down to about that size of mirror actually showing, but yeah, good opportunity to use a couple of those. What my end product for this piece I think is going to be a fabulous bag, and I've got a brilliant book full of bag patterns. I'll show that next time. I've also been rummaging through threads. I've got a nice selection of colours there of just normal stranded cottons, and some of my and some normal sewing cottons as well, which I need for making the Suffolk puffs. There's some threads out of my special threads box. So these are Steffi Graf ones I've been hoarding for ages and nearly used up now. I think those colours will all go nicely. And then some that other people have very kindly sent me. I think this one came from Jen. How beautiful. I think this was a Steph Francis one as well. It's variegated, it's just absolutely gorgeous. There's slightly more red violet in it there than it looks on camera. And this lovely one, I think this is Christine sent me this one. Beautiful cotton. And then this silk, which feels amazing. And I think this came from Shirley Benson in the States when we did our great big little stitch free swap together. Feels absolutely gorgeous, that one. Oh, and this. I missed this. I found this when I was looking for the curtain rings in my jewellery kit. I mean, obviously I think that's got a Christmassy theme, but kind of would fit the whole Millefiori vibe as well, wouldn't it? And again, could be stitched into. Why not? I think that's all the bits and pieces. I want to try it against a dark background. Try these against a dark background and see if I can decide what colour background I'm going to use. I think I might use this beautiful batik piece inside the bag I end up making, so I think it's enough, just about. And I think it would kind of go nicely with the colours. But I think I want a plain background, either white or gold maybe, or one of the colours. I've got a beautiful deep pink, kind of like that colour. Got some plain cotton in a very similar colour, so that could work. Maybe white, but I've got some black here. I thought I'd just try this. I've got just about enough there, so I could use this. I don't really like stitching this kind of fabric, but actually for this it might work. It might even be that I end up setting it up on my big embroidery frame to lay all the pieces out. I might end up having to draw out or mark out somehow the shape of the bag pattern so that I can place the circles on it before I start stitching. Haven't quite decided yet. I would quite like to know what these look like against black. And when I was doing my experimental kind of drawing, sort of pre-sketching my ideas out for this project, I liked the black background, but I also liked the gold. It'll take a lot of playing around to get the right kind of layout and things, but try one of these little buttons in here. Quite like that on there instead. You can see how much playing is going to be involved in this process, can't you? I want there to be not much space in between these, but what space there is, I think I quite like it being black. I will also do some, just cut circles of fabric and just pop them down. Yeah, I will just layer up circles of fabric as well, and then stitch into them when they're laid down. So yeah, I think trying to imagine it now. Is all fully stitched, because there's a lot more to do to them yet. I can really go to town on these, and of course I will be throwing in some different height ones as well. Let's have a look at some of the things that other people have shown me that they're going to be doing. If you know Maggie Morris's work, you can imagine, can't you, what a job she's going to do with something like this. I can't wait to see her take on it. Hang on, I'm just going to get, and here is an example of Maggie Morris's work I'm lucky enough to have. Look at that. How incredibly gorgeous is that? So Maggie has got stuck into this idea and she sent me this picture. I'm sure she won't mind me showing. Hang on. Maggie has started, she's gone a bit nuts there, she started cutting circles out of fabrics ready, and she's going to lay them over each other like that. Look at that. I can just see in my mind's eye the amazing things Maggie's going to do with this. So she's used fabrics that have kind of circle themes in them, and you can see how they are very reminiscent of the patterns that you get in Millefiori beads. They really are. absolutely perfect. Look at those. I think she said when she sent this through to me, she didn't realise how many kind of circle, fabrics with circle motifs in she had. So this is perfect, and you can see it doesn't need to be kind of more dimensional like I'm doing it in order to look amazing. Cannot wait to see where Maggie goes with this. I'm in the Facebook group now, and you can see Maggie's actually shared that picture in here as well. She's asking for ideas to how to tack them in place. I would suggest what bees that pen, that fabric glue pen that she's talking about there. I've got one of those. They're brilliant, and they're not sticky to stitch through. What I'm looking for, so this is our Arty Farty Annie group on Facebook, and you can see people share all sorts of amazing things in here. What I'm looking for is a picture that Kerry shared a while back. Our Kerry has started slow stitching, but she's more into art than stitching really. I'm sure she shared it in here. Here it is. So she started working on, I think this was the first doodle she did after we did the Millefiori doodling a little while back. Love that. Love her version of that doodling. I love it when you come up with an idea and sort of show how you've done it, and then other people take it away and just do it way better. Love what she's done with that. And then she's taken it to a whole new level by cutting out and collaging in a kind of dimensional way all these pieces of coloured paper. It's a technique that Kerry uses a lot. I just love what she's done. I love this, really love it. So yeah, very interested to see what other people do with this idea, and I'm very much enjoying it already. I think it's going to be a real labour of love. I think it's one of those things that you could keep it quite simple and finish it quite quickly actually, or just go absolutely nuts with it and embroider and embellish and whatever to your heart's content. Looking at Kerry's and Maggie's versions there, then I'll just go quickly back to the desk. I said I was going to finish then, didn't I? But I've sort of kept these arranged like this because I figure that in the actual real Millefiori situation, they can't overlap each other. They have to be kind of butted up against each other, and then they're kind of held in another type of glass, like a clear glass or white glass or whatever. But I mean, I don't have to be a slave to that just because that's what inspired it. And I did like the look of the sort of overlapping look that they'd got going on. So I'm going to keep an open mind about that, because it might be that I end up wanting to overlap them. What do you think? Second opinions gratefully received. This is where we all, it's so amazing that we all inspire each other and learn from each other, don't we? One of the things I just so love about, what do we think? Do you think overlapping, or maybe just overlapping some of the time? I can't decide. My plan is to make a few more of those circles when I've got some. I think black is going to be the way forward for me, and then I'll put them all onto that. I'll stitch into it as well, and then this will be kind of like a lining for my bag, really. It'll be the eventual backing. But yeah, I need to make a few more circles to be able to lay them out. Undoubtedly, once these ones have been stitched down, they will get stitched into even more. So I'm imagining my version with lots of depth and layers to it. As I say, it could all be one layer and it would still look fabulous. Very excited to see what other people do with this. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about, would you overlap them, or would you keep them? Don't know. And of course I can always just do one layer and then dot some more over the top afterwards. Just keep on going. It's going to be a fabulous bag, isn't it? So I'm going to go and carry on getting ready for my weekend now. Super excited. If anybody out there is going to the bazaar event at the big, so this is 2 days from now, Saturday 17th of August 2024, just in case anybody's watching this months later, which does happen. If you're going and you see me, come and say hi, because obviously I'm not going to recognise people. unless there are other people that also do YouTube videos, that you'll recognise me. So hoping to meet up with Marion. I said to her we need to, or I think she said we'll need to wear pink carnations or something, so I said we should put our pants on the outside. We're not really going to put our pants on the outside. Okay, I'm really going to stop waffling now because I've got things to do. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you found that interesting or inspiring. If you decide to have a go at a project that inspired by this, please do share pictures of your progress, not just of the finished thing, but of what you're pulling together, of your progress. It's lovely to see the start of Maggie's project. Oh, and I will put my link tree in the description box, so if you're not already a member of the Facebook group or the Discord community, you can join us there. It's all free and everything, very easy to join, and I will look forward to seeing you there. Really going now. Take care. Bye. Super excited. Just forgot one thing. Just popped back. I forgot one thing. I meant to mention, I'm going to leave a link to it in the description box. Carol Reed put me onto this. The RSN, Royal School of Needlework, that is, Stitchbank website. Oh my word. What a rabbit hole. Really, really amazing, useful resource. Check it out. Check it out. I'm going to put a link in the description box. Really going now. Bye. Can you tell I'm a bit overexcited?